but it's time for me to leave the platform.
Bye.
Hey guys, so today I finally did something I've been meaning to do for a while.
Bye.
Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye, folks.
If Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Bye. You
got to get ready for what's coming.
That's it. Bye-bye. Wave goodbye.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my program. I'm your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. My voice is starting to come back. Starting. Not quite there yet. I can tell. You probably will be able to tell also. My daughter didn't recognize my voice when she called. To tell us that she had a baby boy. That's right. My daughter, who got married earlier this year in February, had a baby boy today. So congrats to her. I should raise a glass, right? I should raise a glass. That's appropriate. You raise a glass. So, yes. Five-time grandpa, 5 grandsons. No granddaughters yet. About 5 grandsons. There you go. My oldest daughter has 4 boys, and now my second daughter has a boy as well. It's her first kid. Anyway, thankfully, thank God, I just want to express my public appreciation of God and request His further blessings as we need them on a day-by-day and a minute-by-minute basis. So I just certainly want to express my gratitude to God. Say thank you. And please keep on with the blessings. And thankfully, mother and son are both doing well, and they should be moving in here tomorrow. So very excited. Yay! Anyway, thank you for the congratulations. You're very kind. Anyway, there's a couple of legal issues I want to get that out of the way. I also want to give you an update on my ungag Trump applications. A lot of people counting. 10 months. 10 months. Yes. I'm going to be coughing a lot tonight. I've been coughing all day as I'm trying to get my throat back on. El Presidente late again. Alien masters are frowning. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Congrats to your family, Joe. Hit the like button, y'all. Yes, that's a nice appreciation. Hit the like button. Maybe hit subscribe. Those are nice ways of displaying a congratulatory type of message. Anyhow, there's a couple of interesting legal issues that I wanted to just bring up to date on. There's a lot. I have a lot I need to cover. I've got Daniel Penny. We've got Luigi Mangione, the suspected killer of Brian Thompson, the UHC, the United Healthcare CEO. And then we got Sidney Powell, who apparently had a great day. I haven't checked that story out yet, other than to see that she was vindicated. So we're going to learn about that together. In addition, I got some funny vids I'm going to say for you at the end. And there's a couple of legal issues that I sort of want to walk you all through, and I'm going to start off with that. A couple of legal issues of interesting legal notes that I'm going to weigh in on with my perspective about what the law is on various legal questions. The first one being, what the hell is going on with my ungag Trump application? So you may have seen, it was floating around social media. In fact, there was actually an article that Newsweek put out today where they quoted me. They asked me for a quote, and I gave them one. because the Supreme Court rejected the application of Good Lawgic LLC and said, we're not going to take it on an emergency basis. That does not mean that that application is dead. It simply means that in order to get a writ of certiorari, it would have to go through standard protocols. If in fact it's whatchamacallit, I end up being successful, because you might recall I explained to you that there's two, while we were merged together throughout the New York case, in the Supreme Court we split into two different tracks. So there was Good Lawgic LLC and the arguments presented in that application for emergency relief, and then there was me individually, filed pro se, seeking relief. And while I was seeking the same relief, the bases for why we moved forward was fairly different. It's really a completely different argument. To say that it's president's political speech is one argument. To say that this is an individual American's basic civil liberties rights as expressed through Supreme Court precedent is a completely different argument. Mine being much more, you don't have to be engaged in political speech. You don't have to be presidential timber or someone who's running for office. That would apply to anyone. And that Donald Trump was wrongfully gagged, not because he's a presidential candidate, but because he's an American. And this is a violation of our rights as Americans, as promised us in the First Amendment, and as codified or cemented through Supreme Court precedent, in particular, going back to the 60s and 70s, and up through the 80s. I do think it's a case that they should take. I gave a much lengthier statement to Newsweek than what they actually quoted. I gave a whole rundown of my perspective on this. They included a fairly lengthy clip. I should probably read it to you. But basically, so that's where we're at right now. I think Good Lawgic LLC is going to hold off in its application for writ to see what happens with my application, which is scheduled to go before the court. Justice Thomas set that down for a conference with the court and distributed it to the other justices to be conferred upon on this coming Friday the 13th. So hopefully we'll get some relief there. So that's the update there. Any questions? Okay, I think I walked you all through that. Okay, so it's still ongoing. My individual application is still alive, and hopefully it gets picked up. And if it doesn't, we'll move for writ through the standard operating procedures. Whether or not we merge together for that, I don't know. I'll sort of have to see how the court. We're gonna have to consult with the court about that. But the first things first is to see whether I get it. So, well, I should hear back about that. I expect to hear back about that a week from today. So, yeah, that's the story there. I seen your post on X about grandkid to not want to ask about Mathis. So rude to that. Did you see Ron Coleman is now head of Dillon Law Group since Hamid is now part of DOJ's civil rights decision? No, I didn't see that. What? Is he really? You got a promotion? Right now, I'm very curious. Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, I gotta see. All right, True Social. First, let's see what happened with Harmeet. So I see Harmeet got her appointment. I'm pleased to nominate Harmeet Dillon as Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the U.S. Department of Justice. Throughout her career, Harmeet has stood up consistently to protect our cherished civil liberties, including taking on big tech for censoring our free speech, representing Christians who were prevented from praying together during COVID, suing corporations who use woke policies to discriminate against their workers. Harmeet is one of the top election lawyers in the country, fighting to ensure that all and only legal votes are counted. Graduate of Dartmouth University of Virginia Law School, clerk to U.S. Fourth Circuit of Appeals, respected member of the Sikh religious community. In her new role at DOJ, Harmeet will be a tireless defender of our constitutional rights, enforce our civil rights and election laws fairly and firmly. Oh, good for her. Great. That's awesome. I'm very happy for her. So what happened to Ron? Let me see this. Come on, wear hand-knit sweaters at the DOJ asking for a friend. She said. I'm trying to see where you saw that Ron got promotion. Let me see. Did he announce something?
It is chilly here, though. I've been saying for a while, I'm in Juneau, Alaska. Those of you who don't follow every moment of my life and my travels may not appreciate this point, but those who follow me on X, which is most well-informed
trolling?
people,
Is that what
know
it
that
is?
I've been here on behalf of the Republican Party to help in the legal supervision of the recount of the Alaska ballot question on the issue of revoking the state's earlier ballot question initiative that resulted in ranked choice voting. Long story. Anyway, count's over. Nothing to announce yet. I think the numbers will probably come out today, but I don't have the information and they wouldn't give it to me anyway because it's all but official at this point. But my plane doesn't leave for a while, so I've taken a walk here. This is gorgeous country.
It is gorgeous
You don't really
country.
quite know what it's like unless you've lived in a place like this, which very few people ever have, to be in a place where you're nestled at the foot of a mountain like this. It's really something to see. And I mean, just the sights are extraordinary.
I've never been.
And it helps that there's a little bit of sun. We have had some pretty nasty weather here.
All right. So I've never been there personally. I've been to I counted up 30, not 30 states. I've been to I think I've been to 25. I think I've been to at least half. That's if I went through them all. I think I've set foot in at least half of them. I went to every state on the East Coast. So that already is 15 of them. And then I've driven back and forth across the country. So I must have hit 25 by now. I don't know. All right. So I got the first thing out about the ungagged Trump question that some of you all had. That was a question. Next question I want to address. Next legal question I want to address. Liz Cheney issued a threat today. She warns that any lawyer who investigates members of the January 6th committee will be engaging in conduct subject to sanctions. What? What? Why? How? In what universe is that? Now, this is a threat that's designed to intimidate people because everyone's seen over the last couple of years, designed to intimidate attorneys, to basically say that, you can't. Who are you? Who the hell are you? Is it possible that someone could be sanctioned if they act improperly? Yeah, of course. Anyone acts improperly or morally improperly. But for investigating the J6 committee, that they'll be subject to sanctions? Bring it. What are you talking about? And why would Liz Cheney have any input on that? She does sound scared, Kelly. She sounds scared, Kelly. I don't know who Kelly is. I just saw her come in here. But she sounds scared. Sounds very scared to me. So those of you who think that that's actually a thing, no. The J6 committee can be investigated, certainly, and should be. And should be. So want to get that out of the way. What else did I have for you? There was a couple more things I wanted. Oh, yes, Dr. Haim. I wanted to talk about this because this actually ties into my ungag Trump thing. So some of you may not be familiar with the story of Dr. Ethan. I assume it's pronounced Ethan. I'm not 100% sure. Dr. Ethan Haim. Dr. Ethan Haim is a trans whistleblower. Basically, he talked about how in the hospital that he was working, some of the things they were doing with some underage kids was just disastrous, like really terrifying, what they were doing to children. The DOJ, our woke DOJ, our current woke DOJ, has indicted him for purportedly wrongfully violating HIPAA and releasing private medical information about the patients that he discussed, which is asinine. It's just, I mean, remember when whistleblower was sacrosanct? It's like, oh no, we can't tell you the name of the whistleblower. We can't tell you the name. Now all of a sudden whistleblowers are, it's like if they're whistleblowers against the tyrannical government of the tyrannical or the would-be tyrannical Biden administration, all of a sudden, like whistleblowers are just like, let's piss on them, urinate on them, defecate on them, expose them, try and destroy their lives. Before, it's like, oh gosh, we can't tell you their name. We can't bring them up here. We can't expose them to scrutiny from Congress. Now it's like, oh yeah, let's just ruin their lives, try and indict them, and issue a gag against them. They want to issue a gag order on this guy, which is just unbelievable. Well, when the application came for a gag order, that didn't work. The application for a gag order did not work. But as Harmeet Dillon shared, where is it? Oh, I have this choice. Let's see where I put this. No. The judge threatened, here it is. This is not it. What the judge threatened was, if similar conduct continues to arise in this case after this hearing, so this was his decision saying, I'm not going to issue a gag because I never issue a gag, but if similar conduct continues to arise in this case after this hearing, I will not hesitate to reconsider the issue of a gag order. Should such an order become necessary, any violation by attorney may result in sanctions and or a formal written order of sanctions from this court. Furthermore, any violation of this order by the defendant himself could lead to the revocation of his bond and immediate custody, sending to the federal jailhouse, federal detention center. What the hell is that's worse than a gag? This is worse. This is like, if you speak, we're going to throw you in jail. And I'm not going to tell you what you're not allowed to speak about. This is wrong. This is more chilling than a gag order. This is astonishing. It is astonishing. A lot of people have asked me if this ties into my application to ungag Trump, whether or not I can help him or he can help. This case can help me with my application. Is there some sort of cahoots possible here with this with my application to ungag Trump in relation to the Dr. Haim situation? So I'll give you my initial thoughts on this. I have not spoken to Dr. Haim. I've not spoken to his counsel. I don't know anything about them. I'm certainly not subjected to a gag from some judge in Texas or to anything related to that gag. I will weigh in with my thoughts about what is happening there and whether or not the degree, if any, that it ties to my application to ungag Trump. I should probably I feel like this is something I should tell you my position on this. And you can do with that what you will. The application that was brought in Texas to silence Dr. Haim is based on Fifth Circuit law, which is not really relevant. It's a Fifth Circuit case. The decisions that are relied upon in the movement's application, the government's applications to silence him, is actually very helpful as far as providing a nice research topic. They cited a case called US v. Brown, which sent me down a whole rabbit hole doing further research to understand how this issue has been handled across the country and just how deep the circuit split is. It actually helped me find cases that are helpful and cases that seem contrary to the position that I've taken. And what it really solidified for me is I have a stronger basis than I recognized to get before the court if I have to go through the standard operating procedures. Meaning, if I get denied next week, which hopefully that doesn't happen, hopefully I get in now. But if I have to file an application for a formal application for a writ of certiorari from the Supreme Court, a large part of what I plan on baking into that application for writ is the concept of a circuit split that exists with respect to the issue of, is there such a thing as a restricting speech because of a purported fear that the criminal defendant has too significant a microphone and that it could impact the trial? Is there even such a concept that courts are allowed to entertain that or not? Which I strongly argue in my case that they may not. It's prohibited. The case that I found there referenced that the Ninth Circuit and the Sixth Circuit and the Seventh Circuit agree with my take that that's never allowed. Ninth Circuit, to give you some sort of idea as to the parts of the country we're talking about when I just throw out these circuit numbers, the Ninth Circuit is California and the West Coast. They agree with me. Seventh Circuit is more the Midwest, and the Sixth Circuit is like Michigan, Northern, Central United States. The Fifth Circuit, which is like Texas, has issued decisions that side with the government. If you woke up in 2024 and we're looking at the political climate, you would be surprised that California is siding with me and Texas is against me. But if you actually understand historically how politics has played out over the last several decades, you would recognize that California, the West Coast, has been the home of liberal perspectives. Liberal perspectives have historically said, hey, we're going to stand up for criminal defendants, as opposed to the Republican Party was always, we're going to side with the government and trust that the government has good intention, is acting properly, like your classic Republicans. So you can understand, if you think about it from that perspective, why it is that the Ninth Circuit has, and the Sixth and Seventh Circuits, which are far more liberal than the Fifth Circuit, has basically said, no, the government can never step on a criminal defendant's right to speak just because they feel threatened or intimidated by the size of his microphone. So this helped me better understand where everyone was coming from and find cases that are potentially helpful. Is there anything I can do for Dr. Haim? As far as what I could tell, no. First and foremost, this decision that was issued by the judge, this is horrendous. It's an abusive process because there's nothing to appeal. You won. How can you appeal? But the way you won has this baked-in threat, which is basically worse than if you lost. That's what makes this, to my mind, this is a complete and total abusive process. Because you're basically saying, you won, but if you keep doing it, I'm going to throw you in jail. I may throw you in jail. What the hell is that? That means, well, what if he had lost? What would be the remedy if he spoke again? What would happen if he spoke again? You throw him in jail. So now I'm just basically saying you won and making you act as if you lost. This is so twisted. If the decision was you lost, there's a gag order on you. Well, what would be the ramifications if he spoke again, well, he could end up in jail. And his bond could be revoked. So you're calling it a win for him that I'm not issuing a gag, while essentially you're issuing a gag and not even laying out the parameters of where that gag lays. It's worse. This is much, much worse than losing on the gag. Much worse. And it's not even close. It's much, much worse. This is a very evil thing that happened here. This is a real abusive process. I assume his counsel is competent and capable, and that they're going to try to find some way to appeal this, even though it's trickier because he technically won. What I would say is, if I'm successful in my arguments and the Supreme Court agrees with me that you cannot gag a criminal defendant, that would impact Dr. Haim, and that would presumably compel the court to remove this threat. Because what would you be jailing him for? He's allowed to speak. So that presumably, if I win, like really win in the way that I'm trying to, presumably that would save Dr. Haim and countless other people throughout history, that they would not be facing this type of restrictions on their freedom of speech. We wouldn't even know who it is that got saved from it because the applications would never be brought. But there could be thousands of people that I'm saving with this if I have the good fortune and God's blessing to actually get into court and to frame my arguments in a way that the Supreme Court finds compelling. Which I feel ready to move forward and do. I just need to get in there. So to answer your questions, those of you who are saying, hey, is this useful for you, Joe? It has been useful as far as helping me do research. There's nothing I can really do for him right now. Sure, his attorneys are intelligent individuals and they know how to argue for him to best present his case there. I certainly wish him all the best. Frankly, I'm very hopeful that on January 20th, Donald Trump will issue a pardon to this guy, and that would take off any gag. That's what should happen. This is ridiculous what the corrupt DOJ is doing. And it's terrible abusive process what's happening here between the DOJ and the court. Everything about this is disgusting. And it's complete. It's a sham implementation of justice designed to punish people who are speaking out against woke ideology because they're speaking out against woke ideology. So I'm hopeful that I will get before the court. I'm hopeful that I'll be successful in that regard. And if I will tell you this, I'll give you a heads up. If I don't get in on an emergency basis, I'm probably going to be coming back to you guys and urging people who are able to support to. I'll be pimping, because I think we might need to file separate. I think the court may compel us to file separately, 2 separate applications for writ, because we started the way we started. So I'm not sure if they will. I'm not sure if we can be merged into one. Obviously, be a little bit cheaper if we merge into one. Yeah. So I mean, we burnt through so far several $1,000s just getting to where we're at. I specifically have not been pushing people to donate to that because I'm not looking to make money out of this. I'm simply looking to cover our costs and our expenses and things of that nature. So everyone was very generous out of the gate, and then once we reached levels that I felt was appropriate, that should cover our costs as anticipated, certainly short term. I stopped because I was like, why am I going to be asking people why am I asking people to give money? Donald Trump would be very mad at me for doing that because he's relentless in asking for money. He's relentless. My father is always complaining to me. He's like, I sent him $50 once, and now for that $50, I've gotten like 8,000 texts. So I never wanted to be that guy. Saying, liberty's on the line or whatever. And I can't do that on a day-by-day basis. Anyway, So I'm holding back. I'm not even doing it right now. I'm not even pushing for it right now because I'm still hopeful that I'm going to get it on an emergency basis. But it's if you, so this is me making a not request type of request. If it's givesendgo.com/ungag Trump. Just if you're interested in supporting the cause. Anyhow, where was we? So that's what I wanted to weigh in with on Dr. Haim. So you're all caught up to date on that. You all understand the relationship between these two cases, if any, between these two fights, if any, is that if I win, presumably that would knock off any gag that he would be facing. So there you go. There you go. All right. Next legal issue I want to talk to you about is this talk about pardoning undocumented immigrants. It's an article I saw today that I just wanted to get off my chest. President Biden should issue a blanket pardon of undocumented immigrants. This is what the left is calling for. Like, stick it to Trump. Give a blanket pardon to these people. I haven't read through this article. I really haven't even read past the headline. I'll just tell you this. I'll tell you this. If on January 20th, Joe Biden issues a pardon to all undocumented aliens, saying you're all free, run free, what do I think the legal impact of that would actually be? Nothing. You want to know why it would be nothing? I'll tell you why it would be nothing. Because on January 21st, when they were remaining in the country, they're still violating the law. They're still, and you can't pardon someone for future crimes. That most people agree. Most legal scholars agree you cannot pardon for future crimes. So, if he were to try to be so bold as to say, F you, Trump, I'm pardoning all these illegal aliens, and these 20 million people get to stay here, and you can't. It's not that we're looking to throw them in jail. You still would have the right to remove them, and they still would be in violation of the law. So these people are basically trying. And if you see anyone talking about that, and I expect that over the next 5 to 6 weeks, you'll probably see more and more people suggesting that this is, oh, let's do it. Let's get those stupid maggots. Know that you're being trolled and that it wouldn't do legally anything. Because this is not a matter of we're trying to throw them in jail. We're not trying to criminally prosecute them. You still have to remove them. They wouldn't all of a sudden garner a legal right to remain in the country. So this is just stupid, wishful thinking of how can we troll Trump and Tom Homan? It doesn't mean anything, in my personal legal opinion. Look, maybe someone come up with a theory that I'll find compelling. You ask me my legal opinion on this, I think that that's nothing, literally nothing. It wouldn't be worth the paper it's written on. For two reasons. One is you can't pardon future crimes, and two is even if you pardon them, that would just mean you can't send them to jail. But you still have a right to remove them, which is all we're looking to do. No, we're not looking to flood our jails with tens of millions of illegal aliens. So, yeah, there's a bunch of stupid people who think they're being very clever. Daniel Payne was found not guilty. Thank God there's still justice in New York and America. If we fight for the America we want, we win. Just my because when we fight, we win. It's true. Happens to be true. I'll tell you this much. It's not true that when we fight, we win. It is true, though, that if we don't fight, we will lose. It's probably true that when we fight, we win. But if we don't fight, we will certainly lose. So imagine being such a Karen that you, a private citizen, threaten the DOJ with sanctions. Yeah. I don't know who the hell Liz Cheney thinks she is. It's pretty funny. Don't investigate me, Liz Cheney. I did nothing wrong. If you do, I'll come after you as I was a victim from Your application could help him if you get relief. Yeah, there you go. Good call, Allegan. In this case, Dr. Case, if I was him, I would have said I would keep doing what I would have been doing without judicial order. Don't threaten me. Yeah. It's easy to say that when you're not the one facing prison. You know, it's your life. So it's not easy to like. It's easy. It's easy to talk big from someone else's shoes. Looks like Ronda's made partner coins his Facebook profile, Dylan Group website still lists him as counsel. DM'd you screenshots. Did you? But did you? But did you? Let's see. I don't see your DM here. There it is. Okay, I have questions. Why is there a wheelchair by him? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? That's the first question I have. What else did you send me? More pictures here? You're saying he's a partner. He could have been a partner beforehand, though. Not every partner, not all partners are created equal in law firms. So, I don't know. Thank you. I don't know. I'm sure I'll find out soon enough. All right. What else we got here? Ed saying, in the news, Ray is resigning from FBI. Yay! Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. U.S. Supreme Court refuses to lift Trump gag order. That's true. That's true. That's what Newsweek is reporting. Milei's reforms in Argentina have positive effects, and Senate Con says all Trump's picks to be confirmed. I think they all will be confirmed. But it's good that they're saying that because that has more impact than my perspective. Judge likely to threaten but issue no orders because without an order cannot be appealed. That's what I said. I take it relief from the former pardon would be a reason for the U.S. Supreme Court not to see a case. Why would they rule for the principle of the matter? I'm not sure what you're saying. Who, a pardon from who? I'm a little confused. Glad to see me reporting on Ungag Trump, but articles are reporting that you are doing on behalf of the media, not just Trump. You can't push them on the framing. Frankly, I have questions about all of the independent media. I have questions. I have questions on every one of them. Why it is that none of them, like literally none of them have reached out to me. It's astonishing. And I'm only saying this because the more there was talk about this, the more likely the Supreme Court would take it seriously and actually grant. Ask your local content creator, why is it you're not covering this story? Why are you not bringing more attention to this? I'm urging you. I am now urging you. I'm not urging you for your money. I'm urging you to push your local content creator, people you like. I'm talking outside my LawTube sphere, not those folks. I'm talking about other content creators. Russell Brand, for crying out loud. Alex Jones. Or Megyn Kelly. Tim Pool, Tucker Carlson. Like, why is it that this is a big deal, far beyond Trump? Every one of you understands that. But it's like my reach is, right now I'm being watched by 1,700 people. This is great. It's amazing. But it's like every one of the people I just mentioned I've been talking to 17,000 people at least. Some of them, many fold that. So it's like, why is it that they don't appreciate? I'm sure some of them have heard about it. It's just, you don't think Supreme Court would be like, oh my God, all these people, is 10 million people talking about this application. We need to take it seriously. It's like, that's why I'm like, there needs to be more talk about this. And frankly, this is the week that there needs to be more talk. It should be all over social media. I want to see freaking Elon Musk posting about it. There's no reason it shouldn't be. Yeah, do we care about criminal defendants being silenced or not? We do or we don't. All here sitting here saying MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Sitting here saying like, oh yeah, basic civil liberties, tyranny. This is literally, I'm pounding on the doors of the Supreme Court. I don't understand any of these fine people, and I like and respect every person I just mentioned. If I didn't like and respect them, I wouldn't have mentioned them. So yeah, hit your local content creator. Ask them why the heck they aren't covering this story. I got to rely on some little blurb in Newsweek. Who the hell reads Newsweek? No offense to Newsweek. I'm glad they covered it. It's been in Newsweek. It's been the Epoch Times. People should be sitting down. I should be explaining to people just how serious this is. They should at least be calling me, asking me like, hey, can you walk me through it? See if this is something that's an interesting story to share with my audience. Like I said, it's not for me. It is for every one of us. And I know you all get it. I know you do. It's just like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's basically, I'm just going to be like closeted away here. I don't get it. I'm calling them out by name. You can clip me and tweet it out if you want. I don't care. I'm calling by name. Okay. Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool, Megyn Kelly, Jack Posobiec, Steve Bannon. Why are you not covering this application? To help put pressure on the Supreme Court that they should take up my case so that we can finally get a ruling here. Finally get a ruling from the Supreme Court that says that in no circumstance can the government act so tyrannically as to say we feel threatened by the size of a criminal defendant's microphone and we need to get a gag order to silence them. If you think that's okay, that the way it happened to Trump, the way it essentially has happened to Dr. Haim, even though he technically won, but actually, if you look at the decision, lost. If you think that this is okay, then just, ignore the whole story and let it go. If you want the Supreme Court to take my case up, then maybe, I don't know, do a little piece on it. Not just one of you, every one of you. And I'm only saying this, like I said, because I like and respect every one of those creators I just mentioned. I think every one of them is talented, intelligent, and covers interesting stories, and that they're influential. They actually can help change the world and have in many positive ways. There's probably countless others I'm not thinking of on the top of my head. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. I mean, I've asked nicely. I've asked politely. I've been like, hey, you know what? Maybe people could talk about this story. Okay, that was when I was in New York. Now I'm trying to get a Supreme Court. Justice Thomas has referred it to the court. Good Lawgic's application, that's gone. My application individually is still there and it's going to be at least discussed by the 9 justices on Friday. So I don't know, maybe some discussion about it online could be somewhat influential. Some of their clerks see people talking about it, like, oh my gosh, it's like, this has got 10 million views. I don't know why Elon Musk isn't sharing it out. Someone tell me. I don't have an answer for this. It's like what? What do I have to do? I did all the work here. The arguments are very, very sound. They're consistent with Supreme Court precedent. If I get in front of those judges, if I get in front of them, I'm telling you now, I will deliver a win. If I get in front of those justices, I am telling you now, I will deliver a win. I will get at least 5 of those justices. And frankly, I believe I'll get at least 7 of them to say that Joe is right on this. And you should never, ever be able to silence a criminal defendant just because he's too intimidating, because he has too big an audience. And I can further tell you that if this doesn't come up and this isn't brought up to the Supreme Court, this will get worse and worse and worse, and people with smaller and smaller audiences will be silenced. Dr. Haim, how big an audience does he have? A tiny audience compared to Trump. Maybe his audience is bigger than yours. When he was first arrested, no one knew who the hell he was. They still brought in a gag because, oh my gosh, 10,000 people saw what he's saying. And I know to that most people, 10,000 people is a lot of people. But in the social media landscape, that's a pittance. That's a really small size. And he was deemed too big a threat. So much noise that's being made that's threatening and it's impeding the court that he's been threatened that if he continues to speak, he's going to be thrown in jail, which is complete miscarriage of justice. But we can have more and more. Let's have more and more because, whatever. We got other stuff to cover. You want to change the world? You want to just sit back and have nothing done? I'm talking to Alan Dershowitz also. You guys have public platforms out there which have actually changed the world in so many significant ways. This is another significant way. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. Reach out to me. I will make myself available to you. I don't know what else to do. Anyway, that's my thought on that. The party cannot confer citizenship. It was the Democrats who said it's prosecutorial discretion to not prosecute them in the discretion of the president. Yeah. That's correct. I agree with you. Joe, you missed my joke, my 2 cents on Daniel Penn. I don't know how I missed it. How did I miss it? And I thought Jews were supposed to be funny. Yes, so did I. You broke my heart. What can I tell you? Joe, Greta Van Susteren mentioned you on Newsmax today. Someone mentioned that to me. That's good. That's good. She could reach out to me. I don't even know who she is, frankly. I'd love if someone could send me a clip. I got tagged someone mentioning that. She could reach out to me. Sit down with me for 3 minutes so I can explain the significance of this. Who should all be pulled into the DOJ? I think you and many of my law tubers that I follow should be. Only way to make changes is actually be part of the system. I'm not looking to join the DOJ. I'm not saying that if I was tapped, I would say no. I'm simply saying it's not on my to-do list to become part of the DOJ. Don't think that most grasp the intricacies. I understand it's a little bit complex. I understand that. I dumb it down as best I can. You understand the idea of like, hey, maybe we should not allow a DA to gag a criminal defendant. I think you all get that. It's not that hard to understand. Just because he's too popular, he's too much of an influencer. Ironically, every one of the people I mentioned, 10 years from now, God forbid, they could be the one who's arrested. And if any one of them was arrested, they would definitely be silenced. Given what we've seen happen to Trump and Dr. Haim. They can be, and I mean arrested on trumped up charges, not legitimate bases. So
Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Sometimes you got to cover stories that are a little bit less fluffy, a little bit more complicated. That's just the nature of the world if you want to actually remedy it. All right. Let's get into some good news here. We'll talk about this guy here. This is great. So you all heard Daniel Penny was found not guilty, released on his own recognizance. I'm just going to share this with you. Start with this.
How you feeling?
Great.
Yeah.
He's feeling good. He's feeling good. He's feeling good.
What's up?
We're
Come together. How's it going? How's it feel?
Feels great. He's finally got the justice he's deserved.
Did you think it was going to happen?
Sorry?
He looks almost autistic. I don't know if he is or not. He may not be. But it's like he's sort of like almost like I look at him and I'm just like, man, I just wish someone would give him a hug. Someone much prettier than me. Just give him a hug. He's a good guy.
No, we think that this should have happened probably on day one, but the point thing is it happened. So we can't control the timing of it, but we can certainly savor the outcome.
And why do you think it was not guilty?
That's
Instead
good.
of-
That's that guy.
Well, he's not guilty on a few different reasons. Because his actions were justified. He was trying to help people on that train, and he did. And number two, he's not responsible for the death because the death was caused by a lot of other factors that we tried to present with a lot of clarity, such as the K2 abuse and the sickling crisis, and cardiac issues. Not to mention the paranoid schizophrenia, which only added to that impact. So I'm just glad that the jury was able to truly evaluate that as a potential cause of death, and that Danny was justified in the actions that he took.
When I first saw that clip, I thought that was a bartender, but I'm assuming now on second reflection, that's probably one of his lawyers. It's probably one of his lawyers. I'll tell you right now, I spent over 2 hours on Spaces today. I put a notification about it in case you're wondering. It was there on Locals, goodlawgic.locals.com. So I spent 2 hours, and I spent a great deal of that time arguing with this woman on the left named Tira, the attorney. She's also from New York, and she was saying, it's very overstated how dramatic the problem is, and people talk about how there's been an increase, 15%. She's like, that means going from like 8 people getting killed on a subway to 9, because she's saying it's such not problem, it's so rare. This is what I need to explain to you about the New York subway system, okay? Because I've been taking this my whole life, since I'm at least a young teen, and as recently as a couple months ago when I was in New York. The subway system was always in the 80s, in the 70s, it was like graffiti and a mess. Okay? Graffiti, mess. 80s, graffiti, mess. Not as graffiti. They started cleaning some of the graffiti then, but it was a mess. When Giuliani came in the 90s, a large part of the subway mess was cleaned up. They revamped the system, then they got new cars, and it started becoming somewhat nicer. When you get on the subway platform, what you would do is there's a thick yellow line. It's about like 3 or 4 feet wide from the edge of the platform. When you look down into the tracks, you will more likely than not always, you will see some rats running along the tracks. I've seen it, I wouldn't say regularly, but I've seen it at least, I want to say a dozen times. When I was, and I saw it more recently. I'm seeing it more over the last 20 years than I did when I was younger. I don't remember ever seeing that when I was younger. First time I saw it was definitely after 2000. There were always homeless people. You could even go back decades and find Saturday Night Live skits of homeless people on the subway coming around collecting. They would usually have a sign, little thing. They would have someone would sell candy, for $1. They buy them back then they would buy it for like 30 cents and, sell it for $1, 50 cents, sell it for $1. And it was, people would, and once in a while you would see some homeless person asleep taking up three seats on the train. That's what the New York subway was in the 90s and aughts. That is not what the subway is now. Because the other thing is, people, when the train was coming into the platform, people would go up to the edge of the platform. As the train is coming in, once it gets past you, everyone's standing up close to the platform. That doesn't happen anymore. People don't do that anymore. People used to do that because there was a big rush to get onto to be one of the first ones in the car, especially if you were at a crowded station, because you want to get a seat. And if the first in are most likely to get a seat. So everyone would stand close to the edge as the train was coming in. Nobody does that anymore. The reason they don't do that anymore is because they closed down the asylums, and lunatics would literally just shove people in front of the train for no reason other than just that they were in the mood to shove someone in front of a train. And this started becoming a much more prevalent problem. So much so that I personally, when I'm taking the subway now, I am so freaking terrified of that train coming in there that they have these big steel girders throughout the thing, and I will stand by one of them, like gripping it, because I have no idea if some lunatic's going to try coming up behind me and shoving me in front of the train. What the hell would you do? What would you do? You know, kiss your lily, ask goodbye. So that is a development as far as just the toxic nature of the subway, that the people on the left, because this is what Tira was basically saying. She's like, it was always homeless people. People will make it like it's so much worse now. I don't see how it's any different. Like, are you ready? The whole culture is different. Now there's a lot more homeless people also. So it's not like, you know, every seat is taken up. I don't want you to think it's a traveling hotel for homeless people. That's just not true. That's not reality. But it used to be, if you would take 10 trips, if you would take 50 trips on a train, you would see a homeless person asleep on it. You know, one out of like 3 times out of 50. There'd be like on a car, there'd be a homeless person. Now every train has at least like one car which has a homeless person. It's a much more significant problem today than it was back then. She also was like saying, you know, how, you know, we all deal with crazy people on the train. We've all dealt with crazy people on the train. And that's true. That is true. I think almost every New Yorker has seen not just homeless people. Homeless people is a sad situation. They're really not the problem, other than that, you know, it's a little bit annoying. But I mean, you sort of, you know, the struggle of that annoyance is like a tiny nothing compared to the struggle of their lives. And when you think about that for a second, you're just like, wow, I'm a douchebag for feeling annoyed. But that's very different from some who get very aggressive and somewhat violent, or if not violent, just screaming. And I'm not talking now homeless people. I'm talking homeless, crazy people. That's not the same thing. That is not at all the same thing. Some people are homeless. Some are homeless crazy. And the homeless crazy are basically, you know, they'll start screaming out racist stuff or bigoted stuff, usually anti-white stuff, but sometimes it'll be racist the other way. And they will just be, and just barking at people, sometimes like literally barking at people. What the hell you do? You're stuck there on a train waiting for it to get to the next station so you can get off and switch into a different car. You used to be able to go between the cars. It's much harder now. They tend to lock the doors now. I guess too many people fell. They were going from one car to another. You can't. Back in the 80s and 90s, you can go from one car to the next. You can't do that anymore. Those doors are locked. Only a conductor has a key to get through there. So, yeah, it's not the same. And I think that I'm not living in New York, so I'm able to go there and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I haven't taken a subway in 3 years. I'm getting on a subway now, and I can see the difference, and it's palpable. But I think if you have been living there the entire time, it's, you're like the frog that's boiling in the pot. You can't appreciate just how much worse it is now than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's not comparable anymore. It really isn't. It's a clusterfuck. It's a crap fest. It's awful. So I missed a whole bunch of rants. Let me cover that real quick. Denise says, Joe, congratulations. I've been unemployed since early October after my entire office closed. I have an interview tomorrow. If you all can say a prayer that I get the job, I appreciate it. Thank you. God, if you could please help Denise and get her job, that would be really awesome. Good luck, Denise. You got this. Walk in there with confidence. It's very attractive. Contact Phil Holloway. He might work your case into the conversation since the YSL case and Lake Raleigh case are over. He might need content. Who the heck is Phil Holloway? Oh, Phil Holloway. Okay. It's not like if because he's been on Megyn Kelly a couple of times. It's not like Megyn doesn't have my number. I don't mean literally my phone number. She doesn't have my phone number. I don't have her phone number. But I'm saying she follows me on X. I've reached out, been like, hey, maybe there's some of you interested in. And like I said, no one should take this as me slamming these people. I'm sure they have very busy content, a lot of content and a lot of stuff to cover and things of that nature. And I understand that. And I genuinely like and respect the work product that every one of those content creators I mentioned puts out. I respect their intellect and their perspectives and what they bring to the cause. It's like I shouldn't have to be like begging for coverage here. We're all on the same side. Like I don't understand. I don't know. It is what it is. I'll tell you this much. I'm sure Supreme Court grants me red all of a sudden they'll come calling. When I don't, at that point I don't need it. I need their help to get the writ. I don't need their help at that point. I won't come calling at that point. Right. Thanks for the help. Anyway, so good for Daniel Penny. Disaster for New York that this case was even brought. Humiliation for Alvin Bragg, which he could not get enough humiliation. If you ask me, the guy could not get enough humiliation. And he deserves more, a lot more. So, I mean, losing this case, when you have mobs of people outside there, and the reaction from people afterwards, race baiters were race baiting their tuchuses off. My God, lunatics. And they just ruined his life. They literally ruined this guy's life for no benefit, for no upside to anyone. Just ruined his life. It's awful. Awful what they did to him. Let me pull up here some of
BLM had threatened to burn down parts of the city, cars, whatnot. Let's watch. They're angry over Daniel Penny being found not guilty.
Do it for us. And clearly, if we get to this point, it's too late. We have to be there for each other, and that's our call to action. Everybody that's pissed off at this verdict, I challenge you to go outside today and help one person.
That's okay.
That's my challenge. If you're angry, if you're hurt, go help one person. That's how we beat the system. That's how we turn this around, by being there for each other.
That's his dad.
I just want to say I miss my son.
Which, by the way, from what I understand, he hadn't spoken with his son in years. in years. So some people are speculating that this is his way of trying to get money out of the city. I don't know that that's true. I don't know this guy. I don't even know his first name. But supposedly this is his dad.
My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now?
What does that mean? What does that even mean?
I had enough of this.
What does that mean?
System is rigged.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, the system's rigged. System's rigged. Oh, yeah, it's very rigged. If he was black, he wouldn't have been charged. System's rigged. So I agree the system's rigged, just not at all with how he probably means it.
Come on, people. Let's do something about this.
What does that mean? You're trying to incite violence? What are you calling for?
Let's do something about it. Too often, we have Eric Garner's mother here. There's too often this is happening where we're left alone in this society.
Left alone by whom? If he was black, would he be the same? Would he be any different a victim? Would he be any less dead if Daniel Penny was a black man? This is the stupidest thing in the world.
We got to stop that. We have to change how we impact each other. Jordan came on that subway car. The first thing he asked for.
It's race baiters who get these people to believe that the reason Penny did this is because he's white and has an issue with black people. But if you don't start with that assumption, no one would think that this has anything to do with racism, and there would be no screaming, no animus, none of this would exist. I mean, this is so stupid. All these people are agitated for no reason. If Daniel Penny was a black man, no one would remember this Michael Jackson impersonator's name. No one remembered Jordan Neely. The only reason they remember him is because he had the good fortune that the person with the chokehold happened to have white skin. No one remember him.
It was food, and he was killed. And the person who killed him was not held responsible.
Oh, shut up. That was such crap. It was held far too responsible.
We cannot allow this to keep happening.
Why aren't you complaining about the fact that our health systems are so deeply flawed that they allow this lunatic to go terrorizing people on a train? So it's like you didn't give a damn about Jordan Neely when his life was a complete mess. You didn't give a damn about his victims. 42 times he's arrested. 4 times on assault. Most recent one was a 67-year-old woman who he punched in the face, broke her nose, and fractured her orbital bone as well. There's this Saint Jordan. Okay. And I'm not saying that to say he deserved to die. Obviously, I don't think he deserved to die. But the only reason you're crying about this is because it gives you something to cry about. And you wouldn't have anything to cry about if it happened to be it's a black person who killed him. It's so disgusting.
Oh, look like the police are attacking protesters.
Good morning, everyone. Here we stand once again.
No, stop it. Can't listen to it. Let's trot out any parent of anyone else who ever died and something they decide to label racist. Awful. I saw something from End Wokeness, but I don't know where I put it. I'm going to pull it up. Let's see if I can dig it up. I'm going to look really fast here. This is the BLM leader.
Once the lesser charge was removed.
This bitch who just basically used black people's suffering to enrich herself.
Because to be real, they didn't even try. Once the lesser charge was removed, they came back an hour later and said it was deadlock. Less than an hour and 20 minutes later, they said not guilty. These wonderful white people, I hope they celebrate their Christmas while the Neely family is praying and asking God for comfort. God
Yeah, you're going to send them any of your money that you collected? God damn you. Right back at you.
I swear, I'm gonna get a shirt made to say that says, if violence doesn't solve problems, you're clearly not using enough violence. Because the thing is, it seems like there are only two ways to get to these people or to get to the ruling class. You either have to use violence, which if you push your people to a certain extent, that's what's going to happen. Or two, you have to hit people in their pocketbook. The reason the second doesn't always work is because the collective of people have to stop either shopping somewhere, buying something, or make a convenience to their life inconvenient, which is not going to work for a lot of people. So the only other option is the first option. You have to use violence. And look, I understand there are a lot of creators that say, I'm not an advocate for violence. I'm not an advocate for violence. Hell, I am. At this point, radicalize me. Hell, for years, y'all done told us and taught us growing up. How many of y'all were always taught the MLK way of doing things? Protest.
Yeah, because that actually worked. Because what the hell are you asking for? You need to have an agenda. I've explained this many times before, and I'll probably say it many times in the future. And I don't know of anyone else who has said the same thing. This is my own creation, but this is very clearly true. Okay? The difference between something that will work and something that cannot, something that's movement versus chaos. A movement is trying to get from here and move to there. We have this current situation where women don't have a right to vote. We want to move to a situation that they have a right to vote. You have a clearly stated agenda and objective that you can just pound and pound and pound and pound and pound home. You want to move from this status to that status. What the hell are you asking for now that you're saying, let's get violent? To what end? So that people get hurt? To what end? What would be justice in your mind if you won? What will a victory look like? How will it look different than what we're living through today? To what? I mean, there's no. That's if you're trying to get from this spot of we're here to here, that is a movement. Abolitionism was a movement. Ending of slavery. Right now, slavery is something that is legal in 1865, 1861. We want to get to a place that it's no longer legal. Clearly stated objective that when we get there, we know we've reached our goal. That's what makes it a movement. There's a definitive direction that you're moving toward. You're just saying we're mad, we're angry. That's a riot. At what point are you? Why would anyone try appeasing that when there's nothing? You don't even tell us what would appease you. That's not a movement. That's chaos. And these people are a menace to society. People who are part of a movement can be beneficial to society. We've seen many movements that have been beneficial to society, including the two movements I mentioned so far. Some would question the 19th Amendment, but yeah, I mean, at least you can make a claim that it's beneficial to society. Talking about the 19th Amendment, clearly abolitionism was beneficial to society, but yeah, as far as as excuse me, if you don't have if you don't have a stated objective, you do not have a movement. All you have is chaos, and the people who are behind that are self-interested and don't give a damn about the people they're purporting to stand up for. Every single time. Every time. Every time. They don't care. They're just complete and total baiting, trolling for the purposes of empowering and enriching themselves. Because otherwise you would just have a stated agenda and say, this is when we'll know we got there. What the hell does BLM stand for? No one knows. Just let's get angry. Let's shake some things up. and hurt some people. You're a terrible individual. I wanted to find here. He tweets a lot, this guy. Might be scrolling for a while. I don't know if I'm going to find it. It was basically a statement about how I'm not seeing it. Got one more thing I could try. One more Hail Mary to see if I can find this thing. But it was basically about a different guy who was a black guy who did exactly what Daniel Penny did, except he shot someone, killed him. No charges, no nothing. Nope. Hail Mary didn't work. All right. I think you all get my point on that. I think they're ignoring you because they're still drunk on Trump winning. You're under the radar. Barnes and Ron are connected. Why are they silent? They haven't been silent. They haven't been silent. They were ignoring me before Trump won also. So I expect your SCOTUS case to be denied because they're cowards. However, if you stick through it post-election season, they may actually take up your case. Your timing sucks as far as election season. I actually think my timing is perfect. My timing couldn't be more perfect. Good Marines don't like the spotlight. He's good. Maybe. Man, that could explain why he reacted that way. And he walked away from the camera. People are attacked at Queensboro Plaza and Queens Plaza at least once a month. I don't know what that lady is talking about. Yeah, it's dangerous. New York's a dangerous place. Penny was lucky the holdup said F it and voted to not convict. That's what I think also. I think they just got tired. In case you missed it, Grandmaster Jew Alan Dershowitz mentioned you in his last episode, referred to you as a journalist. Really? I did miss it. That's something. I totally missed it. That's something. You know, there was a lot when EMTs and law enforcement arrived. He died in police custody and care. Yeah, and by the way, they didn't want to engage him mouth to mouth because of his smell. Racism is not dead, but it's on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racist. Thomas Sowell. Great quote. Great quote from a genius. Thank you. Got a little total clip with mice and tone. Thank you very much. That was a blessing for my grandson. Joe, you're a Dr. Robaxon? Well, I just bite my lip even worse and just not realize what I'm doing. That's for the usual medical advice. Always helps. What? Don't care about Daniel, only care about Benjamins. Probably true. Who told Black Americans that their lives don't matter? It's not the people or business that they ruin. It's universities and colleges. They ruin society. They make society a worse place overall, man. They make it a much worse place. All right. Today, Police identified, arrested, and arraigned Luigi Mangione on the murder of Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare. This is him right here, Brian Thompson. Here's Taylor Renz giving her thoughts about his murder.
I do believe in the sanctity of life. And I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like.
Serious?
I mean,
joy at a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy.
Oh, she meant
we're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Of Americans that he murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health.
Oh, stop it. Oh, stop it. First of all, you don't care about those people either. Second of all, you don't care about anyone but yourself. And second of all, was it this guy who denied the coverage? Well, so many people, a lot of people, way too many people are expressing the same opinion as this woman here. Way too many people. This is Taylor Lorenz, noted journalist about celebrity gossip or whatever, who's want to cry and say, like, if she gets bullied or harassed, but is sitting here celebrating the death of a man who she deems as being evil, even though I can promise you, she knows zero things he's ever said or done in his life. Zero actions he himself has individually done or things he said. I can promise you she knows nothing about it, but because of his title and position, she is celebrating his death. That is depravity. If you think that we should be celebrating his death, tell me what he did. What did that guy do? Just tell me what he did. Brian Thompson. What did he do? And maybe if you could tell me, point to the person whose coverage he denied. Point to the victim of some policy that he created or pushed for the company. No one knows anything about this guy. Nobody. I mean, other than wife and kids. He was gunned down. They know his title. No one knows anything he's ever done. But idiots like this airheaded loser have basically been championing. Yay, got him! Ha ha! I wonder if his ambulance was out of network. And referring to Luigi as Mangione as if he's some sort of hero. It's disgraceful. It's terrible. Here's when he was taken into custody.
Well, yeah, I'll say just about an hour ago, I was there inside that courthouse watching as Luigi Mangione walked right past myself and a number of other reporters. He was wearing a blue shirt, blue jeans. He was, of course, handcuffed, and he looked, even in this court appearance, visibly distressed, but he kept his brow furrowed through the duration of this arraignment hearing. And I should say what was interesting, though, Aaron, is you said we haven't heard a statement from the suspect. He did actually speak inside of that courtroom to the judge and to all the folks who were in there, but it was on very selective issues, and I'll just kind of go through what we heard. The judge asked Luigi Mangione a number of questions, first about his identity. So Mr. Mangione confirmed that is his real name. He initially said that his residence was in Maryland, but then the judge actually pressed him on that, and then he said, actually, I have lived at various addresses before then ultimately giving an address in Honolulu, Hawaii. Then he also said that he's worked for 3 years as a data engineer up until about a year ago. And he also told the judge that he has no drug or mental health problems that the court needs to know about. But Aaron, one of the most interesting parts of that particular hearing was actually his statements after the conversation about bail. The prosecutors basically stepped up there and made the case why they believe that this man should be held without bail. They mentioned that he is awaiting potentially an arrest warrant coming from New York City as one of the major reasons. But they also said that prosecutors noted that they found him with $8,000 in U.S. cash, $2,000 in foreign currency, his passport, and also a Faraday bag, which is basically a bag designed to stop transmission of cell service or other sort of things like that. At the end of his speech, the prosecutor's speech, Luigi Mangione said, I actually want to address two of the things that you said. He said, I don't know where that money came from. I'm not sure if it was planted. And then he also said that that bag was waterproof. And the term that the prosecutors used when discussing the Faraday bag, the ghost guns, the 3D printed silencer, was the prosecutors used a phrase saying this is criminal sophistication. Luigi Mangione said, I don't know about any of this criminal sophistication when addressing that. But it's just interesting, Aaron, that of all of the things that were mentioned in that court appearance, the two that he noted or took issue with was the currency and then that bag. Aaron?
Which is strange. It's also strange for him to be holding on to the same gun. Why he had a week to get rid of it and didn't get rid of the gun. It's very, very strange. Everything about this is strange. This is his X page. This morning he had 3,000 followers. Now he has 265,000. And on his top post where he writes very intelligently. He's very well educated. 7 years ago, I gave my senior speech on this topic. Today, I'll be talking to you about the future, about topics ranging from conscious artificial intelligence to human immortality. That was 2 years ago that he wrote this, though. Likely, you'll dismiss all this pretty quickly as interesting, but just science fiction. It's interesting. It's exactly 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And this is the sort of thing people are saying. Careful, he's a hero. 12,000 likes. But some are saying he isn't. He's a murderer who shot his victim in the back. He's a murderer and he's a pussy. And if you look at the comments on here, it's funny. Free Luigi.
Headmaster Smythe, Mr. Hubeck, members of the Board of Trustees, family, friends, faculty, and fellow students, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here to celebrate Gilman's 116th Founders Day. I'm honored to be speaking to you all today on behalf of the Gilman class of 2016.
Yeah, I have no interest in that. I'm bored by it already. I wanted to watch this with you. This was the announcement of his arrest and statement today. This I'm more interested in.
City Mayor Eric Adams with an update.
Of United Healthcare was the victim of a senseless act of violence. Our officers have been working around the clock. Many of them did not go home to pursue this individual. It was crucial.
Okay. This is funny. This is funny. I'll try to get back to earlier streams. Yeah. I'll try to get back to earlier streams. Who told black people it's not the lives don't matter? It's not people or business that they ruin. I got this already. There are other ways to seek justice. What I know is in Minnesota, he had a hand in keeping Minnesota Metro hospitals open in Minnesota after COVID. All I'll say. All right. All right. Mangione's family owns a country club. They're multimillionaires. Denal never touched his life. It's BS. Luigi was privileged. Yep. Luigi thought Brian had a Mario girl princess. Taylor Renz is a NIMBY, as in not in my backyard. The injustice is that she won't suffer the effects of their views. Evil. We should all be Zoka to witness the true justice. Yeah. I don't know what that is. It's a hip, though. Okay.
And we were able to remove him off the streets of America, and we were going to seek him out no matter where he was at the time. And so this is a strong person of interest. The police commissioner and chief of detectives will go over where we are right now in the investigation. He matches the description of the identification we've been looking for. He's also in possession of several items that we believe will connect him to this incident. How did we do it? Good old-fashioned police work. The chief of detectives and the police commissioner made the decision to release as much of a photo that we had at the time. We sent it across the country, and someone, a McDonald's employee, did something we ask every American to do. If you see something, say something, but most importantly, do something. And they did. And because of that, we believe we have a strong person of interest to deal with this case. I want to now turn it over to the police commissioner of the city of New York, Commissioner Tisch.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Earlier this morning in Altoona, Pennsylvania, members of the Altoona Police Department arrested Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old male on firearms charges. At this time, he is believed to be our person of interest in the brazen targeted murder of Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare, last Wednesday in Midtown Manhattan. The suspect was in a McDonald's and was recognized by an employee.
Imagine your last
who
free
then
meal
called
is
local
in a
police.
McDonald's.
Responding officers
Imagine.
questioned the suspect, who was acting suspiciously and was carrying multiple fraudulent IDs as well as a U.S. passport. Upon further investigation, officers recovered a firearm on his person, as well as a suppressor, both consistent with the weapon used in the murder. They also recovered clothing, including a mask consistent with those worn by our wanted individual. Also recovered was a fraudulent New Jersey ID, matching the ID our suspect used to check into his New York City hostel before the shooting incident. Additionally, officers recovered a handwritten document that speaks to both his motivation and mindset. NYPD detectives are en route to Pennsylvania as we seek to interview the subject further. This apprehension is thanks to the tireless work of the greatest detectives in the world, and of course, the strong relationships we have with our local law enforcement partners. On every level, local, state, and federal, we all serve the same public safety mission. And this case, which captured the attention of an entire nation, is another example of how connected we are and how important it is to work together, share information, and pursue every lead. For just over 5 days, our NYPD investigators combed through thousands of hours of video.
I'm not going to kid you. I didn't think they were going to catch him.
Followed up on hundreds of tips and processed every bit of forensic evidence, DNA, fingerprints, IP addresses, and so much more to tighten the net. We deployed drones, canine units, and scuba divers. We leveraged the domain awareness system, Argus cameras, and conducted aviation canvasses. And our detectives also went door to door, interviewing potential witnesses and doing the good old-fashioned police work that our investigators are famous for. This combination of old school detective work and new age technology is what led to this result today. And we must also acknowledge the instrumental role the media and the public played in this case. The images that we shared with the public were spread far and wide, and the tips we received led to the recovery of crucial evidence. We should never underestimate the power of the public to be our eyes and our ears in these investigations. This is the third time in 3 weeks that a member of the public has seen something and said something and done something that led to a high-profile arrest. The triple stabbing homicide in Manhattan, the gunpoint robberies in Queens during which an NYPD officer was shot, and now this. Now, the case will continue through the criminal justice process. And while we are proud of today's accomplishment, we must, of course, remember that a family is in mourning. I want to again extend my sympathies to Brian's family, his co-workers, and all who knew him. Finally, I want to thank the women and men of the NYPD, Rodriguez Bekshis.
Afternoon. As the commissioner stated earlier, a man was taken into custody today in Altoona, Pennsylvania this morning.
All right. So you get the point. They did good police work. They think they got their man. They feel confident that he's the right guy. New York was holding look-like contests for this guy as recently as yesterday. So hopefully they got the right guy. It seems like there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that could help tie him to the crime. And yeah, sounds like they probably do have the right guy. I don't understand him becoming a hero. That doesn't make no sense to me. I don't understand anything about that. And finally tonight, doing this a little short because I don't know why I'm feeling very tired today. Probably just because I'm dealing with my illness. Finally today, the last story I want to cover with you is Sidney Catherine Powell vindicated on all accounts by the Texas Court of Appeals. What? Now I'm going to tell you this. I'm not a Sidney Powell fan. Okay? I don't like Sidney Powell. She never done nothing to me personally. I remember the cluster fart of how she tried exposing fraud, which I felt she was more of an impediment than an assistance towards exposing fraud in the 2020 election during that critical period between Election Day and January 6th. I thought she was a disaster. I know that she did very good work with Michael Flynn. I saw the legal work that she had drafted in trying to take care of those elections and the things she filed. She literally would have she would have a page which had like 3 sentences, and like the second sentence would have like, it looked like she fell asleep on like one of the keys. Like it would just be like XXXX GG. I'm like, what the hell is this? It was the most unprofessional, embarrassing looking thing I'd ever seen filed. So I'm not a fan. And some of the rallies she held to raise money, give me money so we can help expose the fraud, felt like the ultimate con job. But Real Roberts reporting, after 3 years of litigation, 24-page ruling by the Texas Court of Appeals, the court rules Texas bar miserably failed to prove Sidney Powell acted in dishonesty, fraud, deceit, and misrepresentation in the 4 loose lawsuits she filed against the overthrow of the United States government. I don't know. Some of those things I read, they were terrible. But the court even caught the bar lying. A, by its own admission, the bar misidentified or failed to include multiple exhibits it claims to have relied on in its second amended response. B, deficiencies go far beyond mislabeling exhibits. C, the bar not only failed to cite or to argue about any additional documents, the documents are not mentioned at all. And D, you have to be a damn fool and abjectly stupid not to see what happened here. exposing corruption is one of the most powerful and corrupt law enforcement agencies on the planet, the U.S. Department of Justice. Here we go.
Of the vote total was changed in the pre-election voting ballots that were collected digitally by using the Hammer program and a software program called Scorecard. That would have amounted to a massive change in the vote that would have gone across the country and explains a lot of what we're seeing. In addition, they ran an algorithm to calculate votes they might need to come up with for Mr. Biden in specific areas. I think that explains what happened in Michigan, where the computer glitch resulted in a change of votes of about 5,500 in favor of President Trump, just in one of 47 districts. All those districts need to be checked for that same, quote, software glitch, end quote, that would change the result in Michigan dramatically. The same thing is happening in other states. We've had hundreds of thousands of ballots mysteriously appear for
all these things she said, and none of them did she ever find evidence for. And I'm not saying that there wasn't fraud. I'm sure there was a lot of fraud, but she was going on and on and on and on and on about like what was supposedly happening, and never said how she knew any of these things.
Solely for Mr. Biden,
You don't
which
hear her
is
saying,
statistically
"We
impossible
believe."
as a matter of mathematics.
Okay, that I hear.
Evidence of things like thousands of ballots moving from one state to another in the middle of the night to do what is called backfilling into the machines so that they can perpetrate their fraud, because President Trump won so many votes, he blew up their algorithm. The American people blew up the algorithm they created before the election to shave votes from Biden and give them to Trump. And we're now seeing direct evidence of that happening in multiple counties in multiple states, and we know it happened across the country. You'd have to be a damn fool and abjectly stupid not to see what happened here.
Apparently.
For anybody who's willing to look at the real evidence. I've uploaded a ton of it on our website at defendingtherepublic.org. Evidence of things like thousands of ballots moving from one state to another in the middle of the night to do what is called backfilling into the machines so that they can.
Yeah, so that would be on loop, which, yeah, that could be on loop for a while. Anyhow, so my final thoughts on Sidney Powell are, I think that she was a disaster. She did great work, Michael Flynn. Kudos for that. Disastrous work in the 2020 election. Boo. That was terrible. That was uniquely terrible. Well, she and Lynn Wood were uniquely terrible. It's hard to say uniquely when there's two of them. The two of them were disaster. Not everyone involved was a disaster, but the two of them were. And yeah, I am still happy though that she's not being prosecuted, because she shouldn't be prosecuted. Matt Skinner hit me with a 10. 10 good Lawgic memberships. I'm so tired. Who'd you bring me? Who'd you bring me? Following 10 people brought into the following courtesy of Captain Recruitment, Matt Skinner. That includes, if I get it, did I get it? This is going to take forever. There it is. That includes Fair Cheesesteak Jim, Tricky Rich, David Gray, David Goodlow, Wardrow 8, Omnipresent Waves, Sean Dankers, Space Baby, and Lacey Petite. Welcome to the Follow, you fine, beautiful people. Following is a gathering of like-minded individuals who care about greater personal growth and seeking out truth. So, welcome and thank you so very much. Oh, I should give you one of these. No, I did, but now you got two. So God bless you, Cat Matt Skinner. Anyhow, I'm curious about your thoughts about Sidney Powell. I mean, the way she handled herself during the election was terrible. I still think that this is a purposefully designed to try intimidating lawyers who stand up against the system, You stand up against the favored class, the elites, and they are going to try coming after you. That's what happened here. That's exactly what we saw here. They're just trying to come after people who are standing in their way. It's no different than when Liz Cheney's empty, stupid threat of like, oh, if you try prosecuting us, we're going to come after you. So, very happy. Very pleased that she succeeded in overcoming that. 100%. 100%. Anyway, I'm going to land my plane a little bit early tonight. Use us. You make a tweet. Have us share strategically. I've made so many tweets. How many tweets can I make? My pinned tweet. My pinned tweet. You could use that. This is because I can. I got 2 videos I want to wrap up here and then get on out of here. So, I don't know what this is. I don't know how this ended up in my timeline, but it did. And now it's in yours. What is that? What is that?
Eu estava tocando no baile, chegou uma prenda linda e bem fechada.
I don't know how that ended up in my timeline, but it did. I can't explain it either. I can't explain it. Oh, and one last one I'm going to give you before I get on out of here. Tomorrow I'm going to be starting normal time. Don't worry. Tomorrow comes normal time. The last one here is a song. And it's a beautiful song. And it's a perfect thing to close out on.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. 47's coming to town. I made a beautiful list and we're checking it twice. All the bad hombres will be deported by ICE. 47's coming to town. Tom Homan's gonna find you and make you go away. If you came here illegally, then you're not allowed to stay. So you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. 47's coming to town.
There you go. There you go. 47's coming to town. God bless him. And God bless the United States of America. And God bless you fine people as well. The plan is tomorrow that I'm gonna actually be covering that oral argument about the trans thing, because I need to start plowing through that. That's tomorrow. That's at goodlogic.locals.com. Goodlogic.locals.com. Please make sure you sign up over there. It's going to be over there. Goodlogic.locals.com. Doing a quick look to make sure I didn't miss any rants here, because that's what I need to do. And we're all good. I think we're all good. All right, my friends. I thank you all for joining the lab meet. They, them, not you, and don't eat the bugs. Don't eat the bugs. Good night, you all, and Godspeed.